Hi, Peggy. Peggy, what do you think about this oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico?
I think it's terrible. It's terrible. Are they getting it cleaned up?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's bit by bit. You know what happens when they pour 300,000 barrels of oil into the ocean?
I think it's a terrible disaster because I'm thinking about all that's happened to the livestock, the fish, and the people along the waterways and so on. It's a terrible disaster, a terrible thing. And I hope they're prepared or learning something from this experience.
Well, isn't it funny that we got rid of oil lamps? Do you remember using oil lamps?
Of course, I used to polish the glass with them.
Yeah, and they were dangerous, and they got rid of them, right? Just like cars are run on oil, and it doesn't seem to be very safe.
No, of course it does.
It seems like the technology, after all these years, how many years have we been without oil lamps?
Well, I'm talking about when in my teenage, up to my teenage years. I would say I even went to school where they had inkwells, and somebody ran around with a jug of ink. Things you probably don't even know about.
And they had to light everything up with oil lamps, right?
Yes, even the school. We had somebody come, and they got a little pay, so they went there to. We had what you call. There's another name for it. It was underground, a lower floor with a furnace thing that had to be. It was stopped. It was using coal, and somebody used to bring about 5 tons of coal at a time. We had a big shed for the coal.
So you stopped using all the coal. You stopped using all the oil lamps, and you moved into electricity.
No, I went there until
now, how come technology hasn't moved for today is what I'm trying to say. Is why do we still use oil to power everything, and why is it ruining the world with the ozone layer and the carbon monoxide and the pollution in major cities? Isn't it time we just give up and just start going with electricity or with something?
The thing is,
you know our scientists are smart, right? Why can't they come up with it? You've seen a lot happen in your day. In 100 years, you've seen a lot happen, right?
Well, the thing is, in those years, you don't think about it because that's the way I was brought up. And I could really tell you a real funny story because my father, I guess I've told you, was a carpenter, and a good carpenter and so on. And he could even make furniture and all this and that with his dovetailed drawers and so on. And so anyway, and I have one picture there where I.
And he used to use oil lamps all the time, huh?
Where I was born, okay. Apparently, and I think this is just about the time that I was going to be born. We had a 3-bedroom house.
So you had to light a lot of oil lamps.
So anyway, this one particular time, my mother and father, see, there was all these sisters that I had, and some of them were gone.
That's 5 sisters, right?
Well, I was the 5th one.
Okay, you're holding up a whole handful of sisters right there.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so I had 4 sisters, say, and 1 brother. And 1 brother had died in infancy. So this particular time, apparently, my mother and father, we had 2 bedrooms that sort of went off of this great big kitchen. There were 3 stoves, I remember that, in this house. And I was in the small room towards the back. And all of I hear somebody saying in kind of a loud voice, "Is that you, Jessie?" Jessie was the one that was named next to me, Jessie. And there was no answer. And then I hear somebody padding around there. and it was my father. And he came out looking for a lamp. So he had left my mother in this other room, like the other front room I told you, of these different bedrooms. So, okay, my mother, this man came right over to her, and she got rather frightened, and she said to him, "Will I make you a cup of tea?" So he put his hand in his back pocket, and she thought he was going to shoot her. Oh, I guess so that's the time, I guess she said, "Well, I'll make you a cup of tea." So here comes Father padding out to get the lamp. That's the life in those days. You don't know anything about it. And you don't want to.
So now you know that we've got all this technology. You've seen everything happen in your lifetime.
Yes.
Don't you think it's funny that we're still using dinosaur fuel like oil in our cars and making gasoline, which is explosive? I mean, doesn't it seem a little bit dangerous and stupid?
The reason that I think it's stupid is that it affects your lungs. The breathing that is affected.
In electric cars, as long as the plants aren't burning coal, and I mean, there's so many problems here. But the scientists, it seems like if we threw a few $1 billion at it, we could fix it.
If you're thinking of helping the country and promoting the good of the people and the land, you've got to think also about the animals. And it's the air that they're breathing that's no good.
Like all the fish and animals that are dying in the Gulf of Mexico right this very second.
Certainly. And what about when you go back to the good old, or I've heard about it, that it happened long ago. They used to call it the La Brea tar pits. And I remember, because in those years, long ago, I had visited my sisters that were in Los Angeles. And it was a part of the outskirts of Los Angeles, the La Brea tar pits, it was called.
Right.
And I think they used to use the tar and use these reeds. And this was a way of constructing waterways, or something that could be used in the water. Maybe not...
I see your point, but now we've come a whole... Now we've got populations, we have lots and lots of people, and everybody wants to drive a SUV. Don't you see the point here that we just can't keep this up?
The people are not thinking properly. They should be all ganging together to try and eliminate some of these hazards. And that is one hazard that's affecting our lungs.
Good point. Well, thank you so much, Peggy. Why don't you sign off with one of your famous smiles? All right, thanks, Peggy. Wave goodbye.